Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives, and you definitely remember my next guest from America's Next Top Model. She then went on to work at MTV News, and in most recent years, she opened her very own lesbian bar called the Dalloway in Soho. I'm of course here with Kim Stolz, who I would definitely refer to as a New York celesbian, right?
That's right. I was... I really hate when people put two words together, but that's one of my favorite ones, celesbian.
It's pretty amazing.
That was me for a short period of time.
Do you remember when Kate McKinnon, pre-SNL, Kate McKinnon and Julie Goldman did a series of interviews that they called the Celesbian Specials? They had to have interviewed you.
I did not know about this, and I'm so mad I missed it.
Oh, yeah. It was when she was on the Big Gay Sketch Show.
Wow. Yeah, no, I didn't know that. That's great. I wish I'd done it.
Are you sure you didn't do it?
No, I could have.
They did a bunch of
It could have happened 13 or 14 years ago, and I probably wouldn't remember now, but yeah, it's possible. It seems like something I would do.
So not only were you on America's Next Top Model, which was really how you became, a household name to lesbians. But you then went on to really put your money where your mouth was, and you and your friend created a lesbian bar / restaurant.
That's right, the Dalloway.
The Dalloway. If you were on America's Next Top Model in 2005, when did the Dalloway?
Much later. So I was on. It was Top Model in 2005, and then I worked at MTV as a news anchor for 4 years after that. And then I got into finance, and it was about 3 or 4 years into banking that I opened the Dalloway with Amanda. And so that must have been, 2012 or 13, something like that.
So this was squarely in the time period of maybe the L word had just ended. There was this lesbian renaissance.
There was a bit of a lesbian renaissance, and also was around the time, the reason we did it was that our favorite lesbian bars in New York City had all closed. Caddyshack, Clit Club, Meow Mix. None of them were in existence anymore. And we just felt like, the ones that existed, Cubbyhole's its own thing. Henrietta Hudson didn't really garner the kind of crowd that we wanted to hang out with necessarily. And at the time anyway. And so we wanted to bring together, our friends and friends of friends and friends of friends and friends, and open up a cool space that could be, lesbian owned, lesbian, I think we only employed lesbians. And, most of the clientele, of course, was gay too. So it was great.
It almost had that L word aesthetic. It was chic. It wasn't grungy the way a lot of the other, mostly just all bars in the city have this.
That's also why it became very unaffordable. No, it was great. It was great. It was, it probably would be still open today if we had just left it a bar. But, we got a little over our skis and tried to make it a restaurant too. And just the margins on food were so difficult that no matter how busy our bar was, the space was so big and 2 floors that our rent was something like $40,000 a month or whatever it was. It was insane.
Holy shit.
We just, we broke even with lines around the block. And at some point it just became too cumbersome.
Before we I want to really dig deep into how it was.
Deep dives, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do want to really drill into how it was owning this bar and how you actually put it together. But I want to get your backstory. So you are a born and bred New Yorker.
Yeah, born and raised Manhattan.
Where did you go to high school?
Brearley.
Private school.
Yeah, private school.
Where did you grow up? What neighborhood were you in?
So I grew up on 84th between Lex and 3rd, Upper East Side. Went to Brearley, which was also on the Upper East Side. And actually our apartment was rent stabilized. And so when my parents moved away out of New York when I was 18, the lease went into my name, and it's where we still have a house. We still have the apartment today because it's so cheap. It makes no sense to get rid of it.
You have a rent stabilized apartment?
Yeah, I might not after this podcast, I just realized, but I do. We've managed to keep it, which is incredible.
I mean, you are one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, we're very, very few people. We're one of the last.
And you went there all through high school?
Yeah, so I went to Brearley K through 12. And then I went to Wesleyan.
Oh, you went to Wesley. Oh, see, you're very smart. I mean, you're in finance. You went to Wesleyan. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good school. Yeah, I liked it.
You came out while you were in high school, right?
Yeah, towards the end of high school, the very end of high school, I came out. Came out to, coming out is sometimes a long process, I guess. But I came out to more family and friends in college as well, and then obviously to the whole world in 2005.
Like, were you out to, like, in high school, like, to your classmates?
Yeah, Brearley's like the most progressive. I don't think I would have been able to come out, at that age if I went to a different school. I mean, Brearley was, it's actually known for having a lot of lesbians. It's such an open-minded environment. When I was 13 and 14, I would see girls who were dating, like walking the halls together and holding hands and walking on people kissing in the bathroom and stuff. Like, I mean, it's the kind of place where, if you're gay, you were going to figure it out.
Were they experimenting or were they like really gay?
They were gay. I mean, a lot of the girls that were dating women are gay and are still out and all of that.
You just mentioned Meow Mix, which is an iconic
that was awesome
spot.
That was a really good spot. Actually, when I came out, my family wasn't amazing about it, but my school and all my friends were. And a bunch of the gay girls from Brearley would every Tuesday, I want to say, maybe the first Tuesday of every month, Melissa Ferrick, who was like kind of like a lesbian icon at the time, that's okay.
Totally.
She had a residency down in the West Village, and so she would play these concerts.
Wait, where was her residency?
I can't remember. I've been the Bitter End, maybe. I can't remember. One of those bars down there, and we would all go. Like all of us would go every month, and it would be like this amazing, incredible environment.
Remember her song "Drive"?
Yeah, I do, because people would fucking lose their minds to that song. And I remember these like really big intense lesbians at the front being like, "Do me, Melissa," it was like fucking crazy. But I actually learned that song on the guitar when I was that age, because I was like also obsessed with it. But of course I remember that, and that song "The Stranger," and there were some good ones. But anyway, she was a big part of my coming out process, actually.
I love that. Who else were you really into? Aside from Melissa Ferrick.
I really liked Clea Duvall at the time.
Of course.
She was pretty cool. I mean, definitely, in terms of like the gay aspect of things, we were going to Ani DeFranco and Indigo Girls concerts, and I'm sure Tegan and Sarah, I guess, hadn't started yet, but were kind of beginning. I guess we did get, like Dar Williams. I don't know. that whole like contingent of lesbian music that was like being played in the halls of Brearley all day long.
You know how I found out about Meow Mix? Because they filmed that scene in Chasing Amy.
Oh, yeah.
At Meow Mix. And Guinevere Turner was such an icon.
Yes.
For we're the same age. So, like, we have all the same, like, reference points.
Yeah,
and, like, when things closed
cool.
down, like, it was, like,
insane,
we've had
right?
the exactly the same, I guess, like, adolescents, like, gay adolescents.
Totally. Yeah, man, I mean, I loved Meow Mix. I mean, Caddyshack to me was just incredible. The 3 floors, the rooftop. Probably, I mean, Ginger's in Brooklyn was also quite good at the time.
Yeah. Caddyshack was the spot.
Caddyshack
because there was room.
I'm so mad it shut down. I'm still mad about that.
Did you used to go to L-Word screening parties every
Sunday
Sunday
they did
night?
Have that, didn't they? I did
Starlight.
go. But you couldn't hear any Starlight. Yeah, you couldn't hear though, so I'd get annoyed and I would then watch it home and then go out. But yeah, I forgot about those L-Word screening parties. Those were fun.
Everyone met their girlfriend at an L-Word screening.
L-Word screening is so good
at that time.
So funny.
Anybody who dated between 2004 and like 2008, they met at one of those parties.
At one of those parties. Those
Totally.
are crazy. Yeah, those were good times in New York when they had so many options, and now it's just horrible. I mean, you got Cubbyhole, which is like half of it gay men, great, and then Henrietta's just still not like the vibe I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Ellis parties are kind of the closest thing I can find to what the Dalloway was or what Caddyshack was.
When you first came out to you said like your parents like
they weren't great, but
what was the story?
God, I mean, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I think we were out here, and my parents didn't know, and I think my mom saw us kiss or something and told my dad, and my girlfriend was promptly sent home on the Hampton Jitney.
No.
And then I told my parents that I was just experimenting. I didn't know. I knew they were angry, and I didn't want them to be. So I sort of lied about it. And then I guess I told them maybe 6 months or 9 months later, and our relationship suffered for a few years, but now it's great. They got over it.
Good.
I think actually Top Model is what really helped because, they were so worried about our family finding out and their friends. My dad worked at Goldman Sachs and he was all embarrassed by it, whatever. And when I was on the show, everybody around them, the rest of my family, my grandparents, like all of his coworkers, everybody would just applauded me for coming out and being who I was. And I think my parents realized that they were like the only ones left off the memo that being gay was cool. Remember when being gay was like really cool, and now everyone's just gay?
Yes. Now it's like boring.
Now everyone's like, oh, cool. I'm like, no, but really? And they're like, no, we don't care.
So what did you study at Wesleyan?
At Wesleyan, I studied foreign policy mostly.
Oh,
Yeah.
and like, what did you want to be?
I always thought I'd like go work and for like a foreign policy think tank or work for the State Department or something. I'm still obsessed with politics. I always have been. I think I thought I'd be in politics, but.
Like, were you a fan of Top Model? Like, how all of a sudden did you wind up on the show?
It was, I was writing my senior thesis, which was on the impact of exit strategies on U.S. intervention abroad in the post-Cold War era. So not really connected to modeling.
So wait, did you model as a kid or you?
Well, my mom was a big time model. So, I was in like a couple of shoots with her, just like, cause they needed like a kid and I was cute. So, I mean.
So you weren't a model?
Oh, no.
You were just like a college student?
Zero interest in modeling, like less than zero. Didn't want to do it. I think my mom was amazing. Her career is incredible, but it wasn't something I saw for my life.
What's your mom's name?
Carol Brandt. Well, her name's Carol Brandt.
So how all of a sudden how is Top Model piquing your interest?
Because it wasn't. I was on a study break with my friends, and we were flipping channels, and this show came on none of us had ever heard of, and we were watching, and we were like, this is ridiculous. I mean, it was before reality TV was so big, right? I mean, you had the Real World, and then you had Top Model, and there really wasn't anything else. So I watched a bit of the Real World, but this was the first like competition reality show I think that was kind of in existence. I mean, I guess there was Project Runway was maybe before it. I don't know. No, I think it was after.
I think Top Chef and Project Runway, they maybe had come like right around that same time.
Yeah, it was all around the same time. It was the first one I had seen. And so we were joking around and someone said, one of us should totally try out for this show, like just for fun. And so we just basically, only two of us were above 5'7", and the show said you had to be above 5'7". And so I think we like flipped a coin, whatever, we did something silly, and I ended up, someone looked it up, and whoever lost the bet had to go try out as a joke. And there was an audition in Orange, Connecticut, which was like 30 minutes from Wesleyan or something, on like next Tuesday. So we went, and I went with a couple friends. And, I don't think there were, out of the 40,000 girls that applied that season, I think probably, 39,000 were probably better looking than me. But I got there, and I definitely couldn't walk. All 40,000 were better at that than me. But I got there and I told my story. And the second I said I was gay, I think they were like, oh, she's in. So, yeah, they ate that right up.
You stood out.
Yeah, like that, that was good. It was good for the show.
A diversity hire.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a diversity hire. It's like my current job too. And so, they sent, I graduated college. Actually, you're supposed to start to filming Top Model, the semifinals, which is the first episode. They do half semifinals. And 2 weeks before I graduated, and I called them. I was like, well, I can't come then. I'm out of the show. No interest, because I want to graduate from college after all this. And so they pushed out the date for me.
So wait, go back a second. So what was the audition process like?
So there were a couple. They did the thing in Orange, Connecticut. And then 2 weeks later, I got a call, and they had me come to New York to Macy's. And I guess all the finalists, like maybe there were 1,000 people left. And so 1,000 of us lined up, waited like 6 hours, and then did the next audition. And then I got a call a couple weeks after that saying, we'd like to fly you out to LA and do the show.
But the actual auditions, was it interview style, or were they like seeing your look? Did you have to like do photo shoots so they could see how you looked?
Yeah, they did everything. Like it was kind of like a mini episode of Top Model. You'd walk in, they'd have you walk back and forth. They would talk to you and ask you a million questions, and then they would take some photos. But it was, I mean, look, in the end, they weren't really trying to find models. They were trying to find characters. So that's what they found.
Wow. And what did you look like at that time?
So I had so when I got to college, I was being a bit of a rebel because my parents were so shit about me coming out, and so a bunch of my friends and I had like buzzed off our hair just like to, I don't know, rebel. Just wasn't really the look I was
Wait,
going
like
for.
Ani DeFranco, like shaved head?
Yeah, not shaved, but buzzed. And so we did that. And then I absolutely hated it and like missed my hair. So I let it grow back. But annoyingly, actually, it grew back brown. I used to have blonde hair before that. And after I buzzed my hair, it grew brown. I guess I shocked it or something. And so I actually was so happy because by the time senior year came around, my hair was finally back down to where I wanted it to be. And the show, you know, they cut my hair.
Oh no, we're gonna go deep about the hair cutting. We'll put a pin in that for a second. What was your style, like your style of dress?
Lesbian is all about music and fashion in terms of the social scene. And I probably don't dress like I dress a lot more preppier now than I used to.
And how do you find out that you got it and you're gonna be on the show?
They called me and they said, we'd like to fly you out for the semifinals. And I was like, great, when? And they were like, May 5th or something. And I was like, I graduated May 21st. And they're like, all right, well then we're going to do it May 22nd. So I graduated from college and at 5 a.m. the next morning I was on a plane.
They filmed the whole thing in LA?
Yeah. Well, no, they did the whole, you know, they would take a trip at the end. So we did the first.
Yeah, you went to London, right?
Yeah, which was kind of funny because my parents lived in London at the time. So I thought, you know, with this trip, you know, they'd gone to like Thailand and like, you know, they'd gone to South America. Like they'd gone all these cool places. And so I'm like, I made it to, you know, there are 5 people left or 6 people left. And I know that's when they do the trip. And I was like, shit, I made the trip. That's cool. I'm going to go somewhere cool. And they're like, you're going to London. And it was like actually amazing. If you watch that episode, everyone's like, oh, and I'm like, I'm like so fucking mad. I'm like, I was just there like 2 weeks ago. I want to go.
What is your friends, the ones who you know, like you flip this thing, you know, you flip the coin. It's like,
They just couldn't believe it.
This was a joke.
Oh, it's a
that
total
went
show.
way-
But they know I'm like the most competitive person in the world. So as soon as I was in the competition, even if it wasn't something that I wanted for my life, I was like 1,000% in trying to win. It's just, I can't be in a competition and not try to win.
That's so funny.
But yeah, it was crazy. I mean, my friends couldn't believe it.
Tyra Banks.
Yes.
What was your...
Have you seen the recent news on her?
What's the recent news?
I guess there was this big drama about Jay Manuel and Tyra Banks fighting because he said, you know, that she was really inappropriate on the show and she was like mean to certain girls and this would never fly now. And so my story came up constantly because when I was on the show and I was like, I'm gay, like I'm proud of who I am, like I'm, you know, excited to express that. And Tyra told me like I shouldn't, and she was like, well, I don't walk down the street like, you know, announcing to everyone that I'm black. You really shouldn't celebrate the fact that you're gay so much. And like at the time I was like, okay.
And Jay Manuel talked about that?
And yeah, so it came up and they showed that clip everywhere. It was like a huge, and I forgot, I mean, I don't fucking remember that, but I watched and I was like, yeah, that was fucked up. I don't remember that though.
Tell me more stories. Just what was the interaction like with Tyra? Like, did the contestants or did you ever socialize or like have any time with her outside of filming?
Definitely not. I mean, I saw her. They did one interview with her as one of the episodes. So I spent, I guess, that's the longest I ever spoke with her. So maybe that was 10 minutes. She did one photo shoot that she took the photos. That's that black and white one for my season. So that was like another 4 minutes. And then
we're calculating this in like minutes.
Yeah. I mean, in the entirety of like the 7 weeks that I filmed that, I probably spent an aggregate, if you take out the elimination, like if you take out like the parts that are, you know, the elimination part of the show, maybe I spent 30 minutes with her.
Holy shit.
In aggregate.
Wow.
Yeah, well, she wasn't part, I mean, why would she want to be like,
I don't know. It's
part of that? I don't know. No, it was, you know, she did her job. That was it.
The other contestants, you were the celesbian that like broke out and like became like a celebrity to like.
Well, I was the first out contestant on the show. Actually, what's interesting is that there were three of the people on my season were gay, but they were told one of them didn't want one of them didn't because of like their family and I don't think they are to their family yet didn't want to like talk about it on the show, so that was just kept quiet. And the other one, you know, the producers kind of felt that they should have one, not three.
Who were the other gay ones?
Bree and Nick.
Wait, they came like they were in the finals, right?
Yeah. Bree got eliminated after, they both got eliminated after me. I think Nick was the final two, and then Nicole won.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, another contestant on your season, this chick, Lisa D'Amato.
Yeah, I'm still friends with Lisa.
You are?
She's crazy, I know, but I really like her.
She went on to like All Stars or whatever.
Yeah, she's like addicted to being on reality TV a bit, I think. She was also on
Shark Tank.
Yeah, but she was also on that like, what was that one where they took a bunch of reality TV? Was it The Surreal Life or something? There was another show she was on. It was like kind of like past reality TV contestants all together from different shows. It was really strange.
This is why I bring her up. Coincidentally, she is married to my friend's brother.
Oh, funny.
In LA.
Yeah, I've met him.
Really?
Yeah, I went when I was in LA maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I went and hung out with her. She and I have kept in touch a bit over the years. I mean, she and I were quarantined together before quarantining was a thing. On Top Model, when you get eliminated, you have to quarantine for a bit until the season ends, basically, until they stop filming. So I don't know why. I guess so that you don't run around telling people anything. But they quarantine in twos. So she and I were quarantined in London together for, I guess, 8 days. So
they do that on, I think, all competition reality, like The Apprentice, Big Brother. There's a whole thing.
They always do it.
Let's go deep about the hair.
Okay.
Is it a producer that's like, okay, so your hair was growing, your hair was finally growing out.
Yeah, my hair was growing. I must have actually buzzed it much later than freshman year because it wasn't growing. It was growing, but it wasn't that long yet. It must have. I was just so desperate for it to get back to its normal length. And then, of course, the gay girl has to have her hair cut on the show. I mean, and they dyed it red, which was just horrendous.
But why did they feel that you had to cut your hair short?
I don't know. I mean, because it was 15 years ago, and that was how they thought of it. They wanted me to the whole show. I mean, to be honest, it was pretty offensive. I mean, I'm not, I would have walked onto that show trying to wear what I thought I looked good in. I would have worn some dresses. I probably would have worn tight jeans and a t-shirt and they definitely put me in outfits that try to make me a tomboy all the time. And I mean, fine, whatever for the show, but it was kind of for someone who had come out, a few years back, and for anyone at that age, I mean, you're still trying to figure out who you are in your late teens, early 20s, just as a person, not even about your sexuality, but you don't really know who you are, and for someone to force you into a corner like that, it was strange. It wasn't great.
Not only were they sort of stereotyping you into this kind of boyish vibe, but it's also manipulating your identity a little bit.
Yeah, it is. And it's also conflating gender and sexuality, which should never be done. I definitely took issue with that. And I have more over the years as I've kind of grown to realize how fucked up that was.
Did you like your hair short, or was it just annoying?
No, I hated it. I hated it to I mean, I can't explain to you how much I hated it. It was just...
But that look is kind of iconic now. That's your iconic... I mean, that's what...
I know. It's so brutal. I know. That's how everyone remembers me. And then, the blogs are like, oh, I miss her short hair,
So the show ends. How soon after did you get the gig as a correspondent on MTV News?
So, well, first I was on MTVU. I was running that, I was doing that music show of new music videos. I ran that. I wrote that show, and I hosted that show for maybe 6 months. And then I wanted to be in news, and I asked, and they gave me the job in news. But I Top Model finished airing in December of 2005, maybe. Or November of 2005.
Wait, were you actually signed with a modeling agent? Did you become a model? You were signed, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was at a bar. I was at the Out 100. I don't know. I was at some event, and this guy Jose Covarrubias, who was an agent at Elite, came up to me and said, "Hey, I'd like to sign you," and gave me his card. And I went in and met the Elite team, and I signed with Elite. And then he moved over to Ford, and I went with him to Ford a couple of years later.
And what was that experience? What was that?
I just didn't like modeling. I'm someone who I like to talk. I like to, be social.
Well, you're so smart.
It's a very lonely job. It's, except for when you go out, when I went out to do Abercrombie and Fitch campaign, that was a blast, right? That was so much fun. But it's not generally like that, right? You kind of go from go-see to casting all day long. Sometimes you get through your whole day and you've never even opened your mouth to talk, right? It's weird. I didn't like it, and I wasn't very good at it either. So
for the MTV gig, did they approach you because you were a known entity?
I was looking for, I just figured this has happened for a reason, this Top Model thing. Let me see where else I can take it. I've got some kind of platform here. I am really happy that at that point I was getting messages and emails and letters, literally handwritten letters sometimes from people all across the country thanking me for being out and giving people strength to come out. And
No,
I
Kim,
just thought,
Kim,
like,
you were like our peer. You were like exactly our age, meaning like all of my friends and us, particularly because you were a New York City kid and we were all like living in the city. This is like in our early 20s, like 25, 26. You were such like an icon because there were so few visible lesbians who were our age, who were our actual peers. Everyone, of course, there was like Genesis on The Real World, and of course there were other people, but they were much older. The fact that you were our generation, like literally our age in our city, like made you like totally accessible. Like you were one of us.
Yeah, totally. Still am. Yeah, I mean, totally. And so I thought, look, I've got a platform now and I want to do something with it because why wouldn't I? So I called a bunch of people I knew, and one of the guys I knew who I'd met at a party a long time before was one of the heads of programming for MTV and VH1. And he didn't really have anything to do with the casting, but he said, well, let me introduce you to my friend Vinny. Vinny does casting for MTVU and MTV News, and why don't you just meet him? And he does castings all day long, so can't promise anything, but we'll see. And I went in and I did basically did a mock show with Vinny and his assistant Christine, and I just never thought I'd get it. And I remember I was standing like in the meatpacking district in a shoe store. It was like January or February of 2006, and I remember getting the call and then being like, "We'd like to hire you. Do you have your lawyer's details?" I was like, "What lawyer?" We have a contract to send over. We'd like to hire you as our new VJ on MTVU. And I was like, what? It was a dream. I was like, I couldn't believe it. Someone growing up watching TRL, I couldn't believe that I was going to be on that channel.
Of course, yeah.
So that was awesome. Like, those years at MTV were truly incredible.
So were you in the news department?
Yeah. So I wrote for them and I anchored and corresponded and all of that.
So were you working closely with like JOHN Norris?
JOHN Norris is still a friend of mine, actually. I haven't talked to him maybe a year, but John and I became quite close. We hung out all the time as the two gay news anchors. He was awesome, just like such a great guy. So it's such an icon. I mean, I knew JOHN Norris. I mean, he was a total celebrity, and then he and I then were peers and just became close buddies. Gideon Yago as well. He and I were friends for a bit. I'm trying to think if there was anyone else. I mean, Kurt Loder. He was mostly just doing movie stuff at that time, but his office was next to mine. It was cool.
Carson Daly was long gone by that point.
He was long gone, but I did do the final TRL where they brought a lot of people back, and he came back for it. So I met him for that. But no, I didn't work with him.
Your time at MTV, you must have had the opportunity to meet musicians and artists who you loved forever, as well as have access and to sort of like discover new talent.
Yeah.
So I want to hear both. Like, who are some of the people who you were like, holy shit? I mean, listen, I know Melissa Ferrick wasn't coming through the door.
She wasn't. They didn't want to interview her.
But who are some of the people that were like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to interview XYZ?
Well, my number one musician, I'm the biggest Fleetwood Mac fan. Stevie Nicks is like far and away my favorite musician, or Tom Petty maybe. But so when my last month at MTV, they said, all right, you've done well by us, 4 years, great job. Name someone you want to interview and we'll do it for you. And I named her and they got it. And I spent 45 minutes interviewing Stevie Nicks, which was like a life highlight.
Holy
so incredible.
Shit.
That was just amazing. And I asked her all about her relationship with Lindsay. I mean, I did a deep dive. I loved it. And that was one of my best experiences there. And unfortunately, it was like my third to last day. I also have, my favorite story from MTV was when a girl no one ever heard of named Taylor Swift, I was told I'm going to be the news anchor, the correspondent covering the Taylor Swift album or whatever was coming. It was like the EP just dropping. It hadn't even dropped yet. And they brought her in. It was her first time in New York. And they said, can you just take her around and show her New York for us? And I was like, all right. So I took her to like Barney's. I don't know.
You took her to Barney's?
Yeah. I don't know why I did that. But we walked around Village or whatever we did. And then
what was she like?
She was a nice girl. I mean, she was fine. I don't know. She was like nervous.
She was nervous?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything you talked about?
No. I mean, like, where are you from? I mean, they were filming us the whole time.
They filmed it. Okay.
Yeah, it was like a story, like, Yorker KIM shows Taylor Swift, the big city, that kind of thing. And then we went, but we exchanged numbers and I think we might have hung out like once after that. But anyway, what happened was that they brought me back to MTV. She did 3 songs for us in the studio, and then we all talked about the music, and so they said, well, I interviewed her, we did the whole thing. She went home or wherever she went, her hotel, and they were like, all right, well, Kim, we all trust your opinion. What do you think? Like, what do you think this girl's gonna make it big? There's apparently quite a following behind her, and I was like, oh, I mean, nice girl, but she's not going anywhere. I was like, I don't even think we should air it. So
No, you said you didn't think they should air it?
No, I was like, I don't even think this one matters. Because I did it all the time. Sometimes I was right, sometimes I was wrong. But I was really wrong about that one.
So wait, was it based on her personality or
No,
based on
I was
the
just
music?
like, it's okay. I don't know. I just don't see anyone really liking this. I don't like it. I mean, I don't know. It's just
I'm
bad.
like so not a Taylor Swift fan.
I get some of it, but like I never understood like the insane draw, but whatever.
That's funny.
I think the nicest person I ever interviewed was Sarah Jessica Parker. She was truly, I remember I interviewed her, spent 20 minutes during like the Sex and the City movie junket when we all did press interviews for them. And I was there, I was then at the, was it the Oscars red carpet or the Grammys red? It must have been the Grammys red carpet. And I was doing like MTV News interviews on the carpet. And she was walking by, and obviously she wasn't going to do the MTV one because she has much bigger and better things to do. But she saw me and she goes, Kim, right? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, you look beautiful. Wow. Like, it's great to see you. And she was like, I'm going to be over there with my friend Liv. It was like Liv Tyler or whoever else. And she was like, you should stop by and like say hi, And I was like, what? Like, she just was like the nicest person ever. And like, just treated me like a total peer. Like, she was just great. Most people were nice. There were very few they stood out. The ones that were not nice.
Like, who was like the biggest dick you came across?
Zach Braff. I'll never forget that one.
What happened?
He was a jerk. He came in and our lights I remember we were in one of our, it wasn't the main studio, it was one of our like side studios. I think they were filming a TRL or something. And the lighting, we couldn't get this one light to work. And we needed it because the studio was quite a dark studio and it wasn't going to look good. And he was like, oh, does Daddy Zach have to dip into his pocket for the MTV fund? You guys not doing so well? Like, he just made some jerk comment like that. And he was just rude the whole time, honestly.
That's a good story,
Or maybe
though.
he's having a bad day. I don't know. Maybe he's a great guy in general, but he wasn't nice that day.
I kind of love that story.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like, it just wasn't nice, though. The way he said it was quite condescending. And, I was like, by the way, like, you're barely a celebrity, so take it easy.
Yeah, like Garden State was like...
honestly, couldn't have been worse, so let's take it easy. Yeah.
Remember when Garden State was like the
Do you remember the worst thing ever was that everyone, whatever that band was, that was always all over that sound, all the bands on that soundtrack.
Coldplay.
No, but it was it was one of the other ones that was less well known, and then everybody started listening to it. I'm like, you guys are all listening to it because you saw, like, you're not like you got that from a movie, by the way. Like, it's not like you discovered this cool band. Like, just stop.
I know the band you're referring to.
I don't even want to talk about it because it makes me angry.
It's slipping my mind.
I don't even want to talk about that band because they're just so annoying and they attract the worst people. My old MTV judgmental self is coming out. But
and so having now been on TV for quite a while, having like America's Next Top Model, which is like, that's like a moment, but like a moment in time where it's like instant overnight fame. Then MTV, which is like a growing, like now you're on there for, how many years were you on there?
4.
That's a long time.
Yeah, but nobody watched MTV by that point. It wasn't exactly like, it wasn't what it was.
Were people in New York recognizing you on the street?
Mostly from Top Model. Still mostly from Top Model. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't go the subway. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, there was a time period, probably like the 3 years after Top Model, there were just some places I honestly couldn't go because you just get crowded. People go crazy. There are people that come up to me and start crying. I mean, shit like that.
And were they all like young lesbians?
No, no. Actually, it really wasn't. It was mostly women, a lot of gay men, some gay, some straight women. It was all over the place, actually. It really wasn't one group that was, mostly into me. There was one funny story I remember. It was when the show was airing and the London part of the show was airing. And I was actually working at a law firm at the time. And I was on the subway going down to the law firm I was working at. And some woman came up to me and she was like, Kim? And I was like, yep. Like I knew. She was like coming up. And she was like, girl, wasn't you just in London last night? And I was like, wow, you think it's live. Got it. Okay. So shit like that would happen all the time. People would be so strange. But it was great. I mean, people were generally really nice and really cool.
After the 4 or 5 years at MTV, Did you start working corporate?
Let's see. I wrote a book around that time. I wasn't sure I was going to do this. I applied to law school, got in, and then went to like a couple of like the kind of open houses and got to know. And I just realized it wasn't for me. I didn't want to do it. And then I guess like my dad always wanted me to join Wall Street, and I never really wanted to because I don't know. I just kind of wanted to make my own way and not follow in his footsteps, even though he's awesome. But I did think to myself, well, you know, markets, I've always been kind of interested in that and current events. And I kind of liked the camaraderie of it. So I went to visit a few friends who worked at banks. And then one of them, I didn't want to join a big bank at that age because like I'd be coming in like 5 years later than everybody else. I did find a smaller shop and just liked it. And I just kind of fell in love with the place. It was very different than all the big banks.
And how far into working at the bank did you and Amanda open the Dalloway?
I guess I'd been at that shop for 2 years, and I was at Citigroup. I guess it was maybe 3 years in.
Okay, so this is Amanda Leigh Dunn, who
was on The Real L Word.
Well, not only was she on The Real L Word, she was on, there was a show called High Society. It was Tinsley Mortimer's first reality show.
I do remember Tinsley Mortimer in that show. I didn't know Amanda was on it.
Amanda is like in the background and like has a few speaking parts because I did a deep dive on High Society like over the winter, all on YouTube.
Oh my God.
And so it's very interesting to watch like Tinsley's like she's freshly separated from Topper, her husband. And it's basically just all these like socialites in New York City. And there's a guy, a gay guy, I want to say his name is JP. She was friends with him. And she would and I was like, this Amanda Leigh Dunn has been courting reality fame for longer than I even thought.
She loved it. She loved it. She ate that stuff right up. She wanted, whereas I kind of thought it was all a big kind of joke and just had fun with it. I mean, she loved it. She'd love to be on more shows, I think.
How did you know her?
I met her at that. Oh God, that was a great lesbian party on Sundays at the
Maritime Hotel?
Yeah, what was that called? That great party. It was such a great lesbian party. Every Sunday daytime party.
Yes.
That was a great party.
So that's where you met her.
Yeah. And she said, I was sitting next to my friend, Sarah, who was actually my client. And she didn't want to be in the public eye about the restaurant, but she was our silent partner. So she lost the most money of everyone. We all lost a little, but she lost a lot. So Amanda came up to me and we were talking. And
did you recognize Amanda from The Real L Word?
I don't remember. I didn't really watch that show. I watched like a couple of episodes and I couldn't take it anymore. But yeah, I guess I might have recognized her. I think I remember thinking. I think at the time I thought her friend Lauren was hot. So.
Yes, she and Lauren were like a dynamic duo.
Yeah. And I'm also we're friends with Kiyomi and her wife, so I know Kiyomi from that time period too. But yeah, Amanda just came up to me and we were talking about how great the party was and how we should have more lesbian bars, and we're like, well, let's just do it. So we did it.
So you didn't have like a long friendship before you went into business together?
Correct. Knew nothing about her.
Oh, that's so surprising to me. I figured you were like friends from New York City.
No. Never met her before.
So what was the thought process going into, so you guys...
Stiletto.
Yes. Stiletto.
That was a great party.
How did you just...
What a horrible name for it, by the way.
But just like
great
popped in your head?
It just popped in my head.
Remember there was Starlight on like Avenue A?
Yep.
And in the original L Word, Bet... Remember when she was like broken up with Tina? They filmed her. Literally, they went on location to New York. They filmed her going
when she was like losing her mind.
Yes. And she like brings that girl back.
Oh yeah, she brings that random girl back. Yeah. God, her and that Carpenter story.
Yeah, see, that's like not for me.
Okay, sorry.
Like, did you ever get like an email or anything from like Kate Menig or Leisha Haley? Were any of them sort of like, oh, like, we're into Kim, like we should...
I think they were like if I was like an FGH list celebrity,
they're A.
They were like C, but they were certainly above me.
I was referring to like in the lesbian
in the lesbian world, they were A and I was like D, right? But in the real world, they were like C and I was like K. So they were a little bit out of my league.
Okay, so the Dalloway. What was your vision for the space and how did you decide on that specific location, which... That location is cursed.
It's the worst. No, I'll tell you what the problem is. That's when Broome splits into two streets and nobody walks down that street. literally there is 0 foot traffic on that street. So you can't survive as a restaurant or a bar there. You just can't.
A lot of places have come and gone.
Yeah,
in that
there's no foot traffic.
Location.
We were too stupid. We were so impulsive. The whole thing was so impulsive. I don't even know Amanda. Let's open a bar with her. Oh, this chef, she's a lesbian. She seems nice. Let's hire her. She had no fucking idea what she was doing. Like, none of us knew what we were doing. Literally no idea. We spent so much money on the dumbest stuff. The only thing we did was design that place well, and the rest of it, the business side, was a disaster. We only hired lesbians. They all started sleeping with each other. They got in fights. They caused problems with service. I literally had this one girl who will remain nameless that slept with the entire staff. And I was like, and their staff was fighting over, and when people were quitting, and they were just getting mad. And I was like, you have to stop sleeping.
It sounds like
with the staff.
It sounds.
I mean, she was very hot.
It sounds like Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah, basically, it was just.
Yeah,
it was crazy. It was crazy.
You could have done a show set there.
Should have. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah, my job wouldn't have allowed that, but it would have been a nice idea if I'd stayed out of it. Yeah.
And fun. I mean, was it just a total bummer that you guys had to close?
I mean, it wasn't. It was a relief in some ways because it was so much work. I mean, I was working in finance, getting to work at 7, leaving at 5, going straight to Dalloway. There till not till close, because close was 4 a.m., but I was there till 2 a.m. a lot of times, going home, waking back up. Like, it was that for a year and a half, 2 years, and it just became too much for me. And we weren't making enough money to make it worth my time, really. And I would have loved to keep it open. I really, really, I mean, I miss it. It was great. It was a great bar, but it was a lot of work, and there was a lot of drama, and there's a lot of infighting. It just became too much.
Yeah, Vanderpump Rules.
Basically.
Would you ever do another gay bar?
Yeah.
Maybe without the restaurant component, that would make it really
I mean, we'll
expensive?
be tied up in the mortgage of this house for a long time, so I don't think we'll be opening any bars anytime soon. But look, in the future, absolutely. I'd love to. I would definitely only do a bar, not a restaurant. But yeah, at some point I'd like to.
And where are you working? You're still in finance.
Yep.
What do you do now?
So I work at Bank of America. I spent most of my career in equity derivatives. Small stint in prime brokerage, and now I'm a senior relationship manager. So I kind of talk to the top of the organizations at hedge funds, asset managers, insurance, and
Damn.
Kind of, just talk about business.
Wow. And you're married?
Yep.
Oh my God. And so how did you meet, and how long have you been together?
So we met at work, and we've been together a year and a half.
Wait, how long were you together before you got married?
Like a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
No, I don't know, a year and 4 months or something.
And what does your wife do?
She works at Bank of America as well in prime brokerage.
In what?
In prime brokerage.
Prime brokerage.
Yeah.
Okay, I have no
It's
idea
so
what
boring.
any
I
of
won't
this means.
what we do is too boring to even waste your time on.
Like, do you have any aspiration to, like, be in the public eye again? Like, suppose you were approached for some version of a reality show or something, like to open up like another business or to like mentor people. Like,
it depends what it was for. I would absolutely go and be a news correspondent again. I mean, that's like, I wish I could do that. I would, do that today if I could. I would not do another reality television show just because I don't really see the value in that. And I mean, if it was about opening a business, maybe, but it would have to be something that's substantive. I've passed the point of wanting to, just be on it to be on it.
Are you still friends with Amanda? Like, did the friendship?
The friendship dissolved for a bit, and then it actually, I guess it was Pride last year, we started talking a bit more, and we thought we'd do a Dalloway pop-up.
Like, you would just open it for like Pride Month or Pride Week?
We would find we were going to find a cool space and just do a big Dalloway party, get the staff back, get the people back, and do something fun.
Girls would freak. They
there
would
need to
love
be more
it.
lesbian like bars and parties in the Hamptons. Like, there's none out here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on out here.
It's
as far
crazy.
as like
Except
that.
for this street.
As far yeah,
Except for the street I live on.
Tell the story. Tell them what you told me.
So my wife and I just bought this house, and so basically the house has a guest house where our friends Erica and Mara, who are also gay, and a couple, they will be renting that from us. And then we found out that the house next door, which is a similar looking house, but also has a barn and some other things on the property, is owned by two really very wealthy, amazing lesbians. So they have house guests that come. They're also lesbian couples. So
we're not technically in Sag Harbor, but they call Sag Harbor Fag Harbor.
Yeah, also Sag Harbor had a lesbian night a long time ago, but that was years and years ago. That was 10 or 15 years ago. But I haven't seen anything since. Almond in Bridgehampton on Friday nights is a gay night, but it's gay men.
Any final thoughts? You have a very impressive story. I mean, you've kind
It's
of
been
like
a strange ride.
yeah, like it's been an interesting ride,
It's
and you're
eclectic.
still very young. You're still like in your mid 30s. Like you've had success in all these different areas of the entertainment industry, but also in corporate America, where you can leverage that. However, maybe it'll allow you to open up a bar again.
Well,
in
that's
New
the
York
thing.
City.
I mean, the thing I like about working in finance, and there are a lot of things I don't like, but the thing I really do like about it is it's truly a meritocracy. The bank doesn't care who you are, what you look like, who you date. All they care is that you perform well and bring money in for the firm. So to me, it's one of the best places to work as a gay person. And they really care about diversity, so it almost gives you a leg up. The other thing about it is that at the end of the day, it enables you to live your life the way you want to outside of work, and enables you to, be able to fight for what you believe in and put money where your mouth is, right? And I think that has been important to me. And I don't like to be told no. I don't like to not be able to do what I want. So, while being in finance has its, it has its issues, and there's some issues that I have with it, but I mean, it does enable me to live the life that I want to live.
Yeah, you've said that being gay has only helped your career.
Yeah, for sure. It's only helped. I mean, look, I think being out and being, your clients, for instance, I mean, people find me more interesting than they find like the straight white guy that covers them, right? I mean, it's just, you have more to talk about, a better story. I've only found it to be a huge help in my career and my life.
You're wonderful. How can, if people want to reach out to you, how can people get in touch with you?
I mean,
Like, are you on Instagram?
I'm on
Twitter?
Instagram. I'm at KIM STOLZ on Instagram. It's probably Instagram's probably the best way. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Cool. Thank you for doing this.
Guys, you can follow me, Jess NYC. Be sure to follow the show account, Hot Takes Deep Dives. And thank you, Kim.
Yeah, thank you.
Love
It's
it.
Good to have you.
Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.